I never really knew my father, not because he wasn't around. Quite the opposite, actually. He was present my whole life. But until I was 15, maybe 16 years old, I only saw him once every few weeks. Not because he was out doing nonsense, but because he was working to make sure he could provide for my mother, my sister, and myself. He did what it is that he had to do. He made the sacrifices that very few people are willing to make. And when I was a kid, when I was young, I looked up to him. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to drive a truck like he did and wear suits like he did and all of that whatnot. But by the time I was older and when he started to be around more, all of that had changed. I was a teenager. I was running around doing dumb stuff. I was hanging out with dumb people, and he hated everything that I did. He hated the music that I listened to. He hated the friends that I had. He hated the way that I talked. He hated the way that I dressed. He hated that I sagged my pants. And he was also very, very strict and disciplinarian of sorts. But he had a lot of rules, and he was not a very flexible man. Now, me being young and hard-headed, I resented him for that because I barely even saw you, man. What business do you have telling me what it is that I can and cannot do? So I ran around doing all of the things that he had tried to teach me not to do, being with all of the people that he had tried to make sure that I avoided, and basically becoming the very person that he had tried to prevent me from being for my whole life. Because while he wasn't around a great deal, when he did try to instill certain lessons in me, but in my arrogance, I rejected all of them. I thought that I knew better. I thought that I knew everything. I still do to some degree, quite honestly, but he told me to be careful of the people that I'm around because I would wind up becoming like them and to only be around people that I wanted to be like. But I wanted to be like all of the people that he didn't want me to be around. I didn't care about what it was that he was talking about. I didn't care about him telling me to focus on school and make sure I got good grades and all of that. I wanted to hang out with the gang members. I wanted to hang out with the drug dealers. I wanted to be like the rappers. I wanted the chains. I wanted the tattoos. I wanted the jewelry. I wanted the cars, and I wanted the big houses and all of that whatnot. So I hung around the people who looked like them. So as a consequence of all of that, we butted heads for most of my teenage and adult life. Regardless of that, though, regardless of how it was that I felt about him and all of his rules and how rebellious and dumb that I was, he was still always there to help me out. When I got arrested, he came to get me. When I had court, he took me, made sure I made it to all of my, community service hours and all of that whatnot that I had to do. So he still tried to make sure that I was good, even though I very, very evidently didn't appreciate any of it. And by the time it came around to me graduating high school, I was on probation, and he had went to work, or he had decided that he was going to work with his friend in North Carolina. So we moved the day after I graduated high school, and due to my probation, I had no choice but to go. It was one of the conditions that I had to live with them until it was over. Even though I was 18 at the time, I had gotten arrested as a minor. I was 17 years old, so I had to do that. So I had no choice but to be shipped across the country from Southern California to North Carolina, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated that I was leaving people behind. I hated that I was leaving the place that I knew behind, and mostly, I hated him for making me do that. I hated him for taking me away from where it was that I wanted to be and doing the things that I wanted to do. But I was young and I was dumb, and I didn't realize that he wasn't doing it to punish me. He was doing it to protect me. He was doing it because he knew that had I stayed in California where I was, I would have wound up dead or in jail sooner or later. And not to say that when I got to North Carolina, I didn't keep doing stupid stuff. I did. I immediately found stupid people and started doing stupid things. And not shortly after we arrived there did I get kicked out of the house for making dumb decisions. And that is how I wound up homeless. And that just led to me resenting him even more and hating who it was that he was even more. And it wasn't until I was maybe 24, 25 years old and I started to get my head on straight that I realized what he had done. My mother hated North Carolina, but the reason that she was there was so that I could be good. And he made her have to deal with that because he wanted me to not have some terrible fate or do something that I couldn't come back from. So anyway, by the time I was 24, 25 years old, I had realized that that was the reason that we had moved, and I still hadn't learned a lot of the lessons that he taught me, or tried to teach me, I should say. But we did start working on our relationship then. And shortly after that, shortly after we had started to get good and on a good path and actually having some degree of father-son relationship, he was diagnosed with aphasia. And what that is the very beginning stages of Alzheimer's. It goes aphasia, something else, dementia, Alzheimer's. But he had got diagnosed with that right around the time that we finally started getting good. And his goal, what he wanted to do in life, was retire and travel around the country with my mother in this RV that they had. And he got to do that for a little bit, but shortly after that is when he got his diagnosis. Shortly after that, they took his license, and shortly after that, he wound up being, what's the best word? A vegetable. As of this current moment, he is dead in every sense but the literal one. He exists, but not in any sort of way that you would want to exist. And maybe the fact that he finally worked himself to the place where he could finally live out his dreams and do what it is that he always wanted to do, and have that stripped from him right after he started to get a taste of it, was bad luck. Maybe it was genetics. Maybe it's just the way things unfolded. Or maybe it is karma coming to collect on the debt that he had acquired in a previous life. I said in the beginning I didn't really know my father, and I didn't. For all of the time that I spent with him, which admittedly, again, was not a great deal, I never took the time to really try and get to know him. I was, if we're being completely honest, too wrapped up in me. What was I doing? What did I want to do? What did I have going on? What was I thinking? What did I want to talk about? I never took the time to ask him about what his life was like, what he thought about things, where he came from, what his upbringing was like, or his past life was like before me and my sister existed. What was he doing before? None of that stuff ever crossed my mind, quite honestly. And it wasn't until I was in my early 30s that I had realized that. And by that time, it was too late. And that's unfortunate, because some of the things that I found out about him since have convinced me that he lived a pretty colorful life, and it would have been very interesting to get to know that. But again, there's nothing that you can do about the past. It is what it is. Things have happened, and there's nothing that you can do to change them. Speaking of the "it is what it is" thing, that's a saying that I actually got from him. I remember he would sit out in the backyard in North Carolina when it was 85, 88 degrees and humid as hell, and smoke his cigar. And my mother would always say she doesn't know how he does that or did that in the heat. And he said It is what it is. The heat never bothered him because he never focused on the heat. And that is a very, very stoic principle, to not worry about the things that you cannot affect, to not give power to the things that you cannot change or control. And I was exposed to that for most of my life. And looking back, that probably shaped a large part of the mindset that I have today. I even say all the time, such is life, which is basically an offshoot of it is what it is. But I didn't realize that at the time. Now, had I taken the time to get out of my own head and to get out of my own way, I probably would have learned a lot of the things that I had learned a lot sooner. I probably would have avoided the pitfalls that I had to fall in. I don't know, I can't think of a way to word that, but you understand what it is that I'm saying. If I had taken the time to try and figure out the things that he wanted to teach me, same things about the importance of the people that you keep around you, I would have avoided a lot of the nonsense that I got myself into. I would have avoided a lot of the troubles. And he used to always tell me when I was young that if he ever had a racist moment in his life, he must have missed it. Now, I always thought that was weird because he was relatively dark-skinned. And again, if I had taken the time not only was he relatively dark-skinned, but he grew up in South Carolina during the Jim Crow days, so you would think that he would have been exposed to a lot of racism and discrimination, the kind that people pretend that they experience now, but that's another story. So you would have thought that he would have experienced a lot of that. But if I had taken the time to unpack that, to ask that, instead of just brush it off as just a random thing that he said or a random way that he was trying to discredit the things that I thought or how it was that I was living my life, because again, I thought that I knew everything, I would have realized that that was a full rejection of the victim mindset and also an offshoot of taking accountability in situations. So any job that he was turned down for, he did not blame it on the color of his skin. He blamed it on something that he did wrong and what it is that he could fix. Anytime he had some sort of traffic stop or unfavorable interaction, he never blamed it on the color of his skin, but something that he did. And it is that level and type of accountability that I preach nowadays. But he tried to teach me that when I was younger, but I was there running around blaming everything. Every time I had an interaction with the police that wasn't great, I blamed it on racism. Every time I had something with a teacher or something that didn't go my way, I blamed it on racism. When I had an altercation or issue with somebody who was a different race than me, I blamed it on racism. And that robbed me of years of self-reflection. That's no one's fault but my own. And again, my own unwillingness to think about anything other than myself. And it is, again, all those types of lessons, all of those types of life philosophies that I had the chance to learn and was given a teacher by the universe to teach me, and I rejected it because I was in my own way and I was full of myself and I thought that I was better than everybody and everything. And looking back on it, at some point in my early 30s, I came to the realization or the perspective, or came to hold the belief, maybe, I don't know, however it is that you would like to call it, that I robbed my father of being able to have the son that he deserved and or wanted to have. He never said that. He never told me, and I'm sure that he never would, but even when I was doing the dumbest stuff that I was doing that he tried to prevent me from, he never told me that he was disappointed in me. Never once, even though I can say objectively that I would have been disappointed in me had I witnessed me doing these things. And even more so than being disappointed in me for doing those things as my child, I would have been disappointed in myself and felt like I had failed because I did not do what was necessary, or I was not a good enough guide, or I was not a good enough teacher to prevent him or me in this scenario, you understand, you're following, from doing all of those things. I was not capable of instilling these lessons, and I would have taken that as a personal failure. And one of my biggest regrets, even though I'm not a big believer in regrets, which I will get to momentarily, but one of my biggest regrets is the fact that I feel like he deserved a better experience of raising a child than he got. And that's no one's fault but my own. Now, since that time, it has become my goal, or it had become my goal, to do stuff that he could be proud of so that he can say, this is someone that I am proud to call my son. Look at all of the things that he did. He might not have listened all of the time. He might have been hard-headed. He might have been stubborn. He might have been a dumbass. But he still made something of himself, and he still took the things that I taught him. Maybe not in the moment, but he took them eventually. And right when I was getting to a point where I was actually starting to make something of myself is when he had also gotten that diagnosis, and he had started to lose his mind and become a shell of himself. Now, maybe that's just the luck of the draw. Maybe that's just how things unfolded. Or maybe that is karma coming to collect some of the debts that I have accrued in a past life. Who knows? But regardless of that, there's not a single thing in the world that I can do about it. Now, if you've made it this far down my musings, then you will certainly have realized that this is not what it is that I usually talk about. It's not my usual subject matter, but I do have several points in this. The first of which being, people love to talk about their upbringing, and they want to blame their parents for all kinds of things. They want to blame their parents for why they're not doing good or why they didn't know any better. And they want to say that people who had both parents or good parents were privileged or got some sort of leg up. And I am here to say that not a single one of those things means anything. I had good parents. I had parents who tried to instill good things in me, who took their time to try and teach me and to show me the right path, and I rejected it. I ignored it, and I walked down the very path that they both tried their absolute best to prevent me from walking down. Because at the end of the day, your life is your own. Your decisions are your own. It doesn't matter what you're given. It does not matter what it is that you did not have. What matters is what it is that you do, and no one can make your choices but you. So all of this privilege nonsense, all of this, these people are lucky because of this, and this is why they're doing good, is complete nonsense. People are where it is that they are because of the choices that I have made. Again, I had good parents. I still got myself arrested. I still got caught up doing a bunch of less than ideal activities. I still wound up homeless. I still spent years broke. I still wound up an excuse maker. I still wound up selfish and smoking all kinds of weed and doing all kinds of dumb stuff and chasing women around and doing everything but what I was supposed to do. It has nothing to do with what you are given. It has everything to do with what you choose to do with what you're given. Privilege is a narrative for people who do not want to take accountability, and even more, who do not want to try, because again, your choices are your own. My second point, my second lesson is life is unpredictable, and you never know what's going to happen. You can do everything right and get hit by a bus on the sidewalk. You can do everything right and get diagnosed with cancer or some other non-curable ailments. You can do everything right. Your loved ones could do everything right, and something could happen to them. You can lose any one of them at any given point in time. And I had decided long before I actually started trying to do something that I wanted to make something of myself so I can show my father that what he showed me was not for nothing, and that he was not a failure as a father. But I put it off forever and ever and ever. And by the time that I did it, the time that I started, it was too late for it to have the impact that I wanted, or for it to show what it is that I wanted to show, because you could procrastinate all that you want. You could put things off till tomorrow, but you never know what it is that is going to happen. And anything other than making the most of every single moment that you have and making the most of all of the people in your life that you claim to care about, that you claim to love, is absolutely ungrateful. And at the end of the day, you will always, always pay the price for your lack of gratitude in whatever form that might be, whether it's personal loss, whether it's the loss of somebody that you care about, whether it's missed opportunities, whatever. Lack of gratitude costs, and the universe will always come and collect. There is no getting around it. So if you are a procrastinator, if you are a lazy person, if you are an excuse maker, you are ungrateful, and that is going to cost you. And lots of the time, it is going to cost you something that you cannot get back, or that you cannot redeem, or that you cannot undo. Third, there are lots of things in life that you can only learn by going through certain things. There are certain experiences that you need in order to learn certain lessons. But there are lots of things that you know currently that you are not doing right, that you can simply make the decision to do right now. This is the problem with regret, is that everything looks clear in the mirror. Everything is very easy to say, this is what it is that I should have done. These are the decisions that I should have made. These are the actions that I should have taken. But by the time you learn those things, or by the time you implement those things, it will be far too late. So everyone's goal in life should be to die with as few regrets as possible. And unfortunately for most people, myself included, they are going to wind up making decisions that cost them something that they have no way of getting back. They're going to let a time window close that they cannot ever reopen, and something is going to happen, and you are going to wish, and you are going to pray, and you are going to beg, and you are going to try everything that you can to change it, and you are going to find out that that endeavor is completely fruitless. There's not a single thing that you can do to undo something once it's done. So do what it is that you need to do. Do what it is that you know that you need to do while you have the opportunity to do it. And lastly, I am a big believer that every single thing that happens is good. So this particular scenario, my dad being a vegetable and all of that, is good. It's for the best. And that might sound cold, that might sound uncaring, but the fact of the matter is, no matter how I look at it, there's nothing that I can do to change it. I can cry about it or I can smile about it, and the situation will be exactly the same. So why not try and find the best in it, which is what it is that I do, because that is something that showed me how precious time is and how important it is to act currently. And if he wasn't where it was that he was, quite honestly, I wouldn't be where it is that I am now. Maybe that's selfish, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, even if I didn't feel that way, the situation would be the exact same. So many people get caught up in wishing things were different, or wishing things were a better way or a different way, and none of it matters. What is, period. You could be sad about something, you could be happy about something, but it will not change it. So you might as well be happy about it. You might as well find the good in it. You might as well find the positive in it. You might as well find how it is that that can make you stronger, how it is that that can make you smarter, and how it is that that can make you better. Period. So, as unfortunate as all of this sounds, I am happy that it happened. I am happy that this took place. I am happy that things unfolded the way that they did, because doesn't make any sense not to be. And I can say that if things had changed, or things had went differently, then my life would have went differently on from them. Because as much as I wanted to do these things in the beginning, losing, because again, he's still around, not really, but losing him motivated me and pushed me in a way that I wouldn't have been able to be pushed had this not happened to him. So that's the cost. The cost of being able to do things to make him proud, ironically, was losing him. But that's life. Sometimes it is the people only learn lessons the hard way. And unfortunately, that has been me for most of my life. For the entirety of my time here, I have only ever learned things the hard way, and this is no different. But that is the benefit of trauma. That is the benefit of trials and tribulations. That is the benefit of going through hardships, is they make you harder, and they teach you the lessons that you wouldn't have learned without them. So you can make whatever it is that's going on in your life, you can make something out of it. You can make the best of it, and you can make something better coming forward. And now, the reason that I am on here and all of these other platforms saying things that inspire people to change their life is because I had a father who inspired me to change my life. Yes, it would have been amazing if he inspired that earlier in me, but he didn't. Things unfold as they do. Such is life. And things go the way that they are meant to go. Things go the way that they need to go. So, I have a lot of these lessons that I learned from him that I try to instill in other people. And that is the way that things were supposed to unfold. And hopefully some of the things that I say will resonate with somebody and that allows them to avoid the pitfalls that I myself partook in. And hopefully it will prevent them from coming to a situation where they can say, maybe it's luck, maybe it's just the way things were, or maybe it is karma coming to collect a debt that I have accrued in a past life.